coordinate amongst all these regulators. There are a number of areas. It could relate to payments. It could relate to security. Security is a very, very important, especially the cyber security. That is a very important area. So there are a number of areas where we interact, and we will continue to further now deepen this interaction. I think this announcement is basically for that we deepen our collaboration and coordination in the best interests of the economy.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ajay Mishra from Doordarshan.
Thank you, ma'am. पहले मैम आप ये क्वेश्चन का आंसर कर दें डेली इलेक्शंस पे, फिर मैं पूछता हूँ.
आपके क्वेश्चन भी वही है क्या?
नहीं मैम, आप पहले आंसर कर दें.
No, I welcome I've not seen the receipts.
I've been with the governor's leadership attending the RBI Central Board. So going from what you say, I'm responding. Indeed happy to know that, because under Prime Minister Modi's leadership, we are very keen that Delhi gets a government which serves its people. And that's something which is the need of the hour for attaining Viksit Bharat 2047. India's capital region, national capital region, should have a government which serves the cause of its people. And I strongly believe that the roadmap that the Prime Minister has set for the country should certainly take Delhi on the top priority and serve its people from every point of view, for all the human development indicator related issues, and also the fundamental infrastructure, schools, hospitals, people's health care, and the capital worth India's Viksit Bharat aspirations.
Thank you, ma'am. Next we'll have Mr.
Harsh Kumar from Business Standard.
Sir, can I?
You want to? Oh, please ask.
थैंक यू मैम, थैंक यू सर. मैम, आपने अपने बजट स्पीच में ट्रस्ट शब्द का इस्तेमाल 18 बार किया है, क्रेडिट शब्द का इस्तेमाल 26 टाइम्स और लोन 15 टाइम्स रिपीट किया है. तो आपसे ये सवाल है गवर्नर सर कि क्या हम ईज़ ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस, ईज़ ऑफ लिविंग के बाद अब हम ईज़ ऑफ क्रेडिट की नई दुनिया में प्रवेश करने जा रहे हैं? और मैम, अगर आप देश की वित्तीय नीति और मौद्रिक नीति के बीच में जो सामंजस्य दिख रहा है, उस पर आप कुछ कमेंट करना चाहिए बिटवीन द मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी एंड द फिस्कल पॉलिसी. थैंक यू.
नहीं, निश्चित रूप से देखिए कि ईज ऑफ क्रेडिट जो है पर में आरबीआई का ध्यान रहा है, लेकिन और अधिक इसमें सुधार की भी आवश्यकता है. ये बात भी सही है. इसके बारे में मैं ये भी बताना चाहूँगा कि एक पहले से ही एक इनिशिएटिव इन्होंने प्रारंभ किया था जो कि यूनिफाइड लेंडिंग इंटरफेस के बारे में है. उसको हम आगे बढ़ाएंगे और किस प्रकार से सरलता से सभी जो हमारे रेगुलेटेड एंटिटीज़ हैं, बैंक्स हैं, फिर एनबीएफसीज़ हैं जो कि लास्ट माइल में जाकर के कार्य करते हैं दूर दराज इलाकों में, उसी प्रकार से जो शेड्यूल्ड कमर्शियल बैंक्स के जो बीसीज़ हैं, बिजनेस कॉरेस्पोंडेंट्स हैं, वो भी जो है गांव-गांव में जाते हैं. किस प्रकार से हम इस क्रेडिट को और अधिक सुविधाजनक बना सकें, ये एक सतत एक प्रयास रहता है और उस प्रयास में हम और उसको आगे गति देंगे. धन्यवाद.
आज जब मैं सेंट्रल बोर्ड को संबोधित की, उस समय भी कल का एमपीसी के बाद गवर्नर साहब के कमेंट्री से, उनके ऑब्जर्वेशन से बहुत सारे पॉइंट्स निकाल कर ही बात की मैंने. चाहे इन्फ्लेशन हो, ग्रोथ हो, मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी और फिस्कल पॉलिसी दोनों साथ साथ, जैसे एक गाड़ी का दो पहिए जैसे साथ साथ इन कोऑर्डिनेशन करने में अधिक लाभ हमारे इकोनॉमी को और जनता को मिलेगी ही. इसीलिए मैं मानती हूँ, चाहे वो इन्फ्लेशन हो, चाहे वो पर्टिकुलर ग्रोथ का प्लग्स हो, इन सब में आरबीआई और सरकार का कोऑर्डिनेशन रहना उचित है. कोई किसी का उनके अपने टेरिटरी का ऊपर इंक्रोच नहीं करते हैं. आई डोंट थिंक दैट हैज एग्जिस्टेड इन द लास्ट 10 years, and now I don't see that existing even in the future. There has been good coordination between the RBI and government, and आप सबको भी वो विदित है कि वैसे अच्छा कोऑर्डिनेशन के कारण ही कोविड के समय भी भारत एक ऐसा देश था कि उनके इकोनॉमी के ऊपर अच्छा असर, पॉजिटिव असर भी पड़ा, और कोविड के दौरान जनता को आर्थिक विषय के कारण जो भी दिक्कत लोग सोच रहे थे होगा वो नहीं हुआ. नेगेटिव आर्थिक
The Nykaa Pink Love sale now live. I had to shop the season's best offers on makeup, skincare and hair care. It's the season's hottest deals on the biggest beauty brands. The Nykaa Pink Love sale. Shop now.
3 writing mistakes to avoid before sending an email. 1. Run-on sentences. Quillbot can tell when a sentence is way too long. Run that paragraph through the paraphraser tool and break it up a little. 2. Weak word choice. A single word can change the impact of a sentence. Let's see what Quillbot's synonym slider does for this sentence. See how now it's got a little more oomph? 3. Sloppy punctuation. Before you hit send on anything, turn on Quillbot's Chrome extension. Looks like you missed the comma here and misspelled this word. Would hate for your boss to see that. Try Quillbot for free for flawless emails every time.
That we will, in my meeting with the press yesterday in Mumbai also, that we will take all the suggestions that have come in through this consultative process, and before that, we, without a deep examination, we will not be finalizing any of these proposals, whether it is related to LCR or whether it is related to project financing. I also announced that we will give sufficient time. So obviously they cannot come in, before 31. As was, perhaps earlier announced 31/3/2025, they will certainly, not kick in from 31/3/2025. We will give sufficient time, and wherever the guidelines are actually, there is major changes over there, we will even give phased period for implementation.
Thank you, sir. I'll request Mr. Prashant Sahu from Financial Express.
Sir, budget has an announcement that partial credit enhanced facility will be floated by NAFID. So we have a similar facility for banks since 2015, but it has not taken off because of stricter capital norms. So since the objective is to catalyze infrastructure financing such as through municipal bonds, etc. So is there going to be some tweak in the norms so that the product takes off?
We will certainly examine as to why it has not taken off, what needs to be done, and whether any changes need to be brought about to make it popular.
Thank you, sir. Tarun Sharma from Zee Business.
तरुण शर्मा फ्रॉम जी बिजनेस. सर, आपने कहा कि रूपी को लेकर आपकी फ्लेक्सिबल अप्रोच है, तो सर क्या एक कंफर्टेबल प्राइसिंग होगा रूपी डॉलर की यदि हम बात करें आरबीआई के माइंडसेट से?
आरबीआई की देखिए शुरू से ही एक जो इनका अप्रोच रहा है इसके प्रति, उसमें कोई बदलाव नहीं है. सबसे पहले मैं ये बताना चाहूँगा, पहले से यही उनका अप्रोच रहा है कि किसी भी प्राइस लेवल को या बैंड को हम टारगेट नहीं करते हैं. हमारा केवल प्रयास यह रहता है कि जो एक एक्सेसिव जो उसमें उछाल या गिराव आता है, वॉलेटिलिटी जिसे हम बोलते हैं, वो भी एक्सेसिव, दिन प्रतिदिन छोटे मोटे उतार चढ़ाव किसी भी एसेट के प्राइसेस में आ सकता है, चाहे वो सेंसेक्स हो, चाहे निफ्टी हो, चाहे गोल्ड के प्राइसेस हों. उसके ऊपर में हमें अत्यधिक ध्यान नहीं देना चाहिए. ये कल भी मैंने कहा, यहाँ पे भी मैं कह रहा हूँ, मध्यम काल में या दीर्घ काल में उसमें क्या बदलाव है उसके ऊपर भी ही हमें ध्यान देना चाहिए. जो हमारे मार्केट फोर्सेस हैं, जो यहाँ पे चाहे वो डॉलर के बारे में ही हम बात कर रहे हैं, तो वो काफ़ी विकसित है. मार्केट हमारा वो एफिशिएंट है, और हम उसके ऊपर में विश्वास रखते हैं मार्केट की एफिशिएंसी पे, और मार्केट फोर्सेस को ही हम डिपेंड करते हैं कि वे क्या इसकी मूल्य हो उसको वो डिटरमिन करें.
अच्छा, Anchal from Indian Express.
Hi, sir. Anjal from Indian Express. My question is regarding. In some ways, it has been viewed as the beginning of a shallow rate cut cycle, and the markets were especially slightly disappointed with the less liquidity infusion measures in the policy announced yesterday. So, do you think for the adequate policy transmission, more signaling is required in terms of more liquidity infusion measures in the coming quarters?
See, as mentioned yesterday also, and some media articles are carrying it, we have provided, we came out, with a 1 day pre-announced and assured 1 day liquidity program for the transient liquidity. Similarly, for the durable liquidity also, we announced certain measures. The last MPC committee meeting had announced a 0.5% CRR cut that infused durable liquidity. Similarly, we also on 27th January announced durable liquidity measures worth about valued at about 1.5 lakh crore rupees. Going forward too, we will be very, very watchful, alert, and very nimble and agile in whatever are the requirements of the banking system to provide liquidity, both transient, overnight, as well as more durable liquidity.
Thank you, sir. Next, we'll have Mr. Shishir Sinha from Hindu Business Line.
Good afternoon, sir, and ma'am. My question to Governor, sir. Sir, yesterday you said that the inflation which you have mentioned in your policy statement has kept in mind the rupee depreciation. At this moment, is the imported inflation is also a big concern, especially in terms of pulses and edible oil and the food items? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, all pressures for inflation are, we are alert to them. We are alert to all of them. As was mentioned, any depreciation of the rupee, that leads to inflation of 5% as per our calculations and estimates. 5% depreciation in the Indian rupee leads to about 30-35% basis points of inflation. That has been kept in mind, and we'll be watchful on that account. I also mentioned that most of the depreciation is driven by the uncertainties which have come about because of the global and especially the Trump related tariff announcements, and hopefully that should settle down, and that should help us in the downward movement of inflation.
Thank you, sir. Sapna Das from CNBC.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, Governor. Governor, first question to you. The 4.2% CPI inflation projection for 26 and 4.8 for the current fiscal, it factors in the inflationary impact due to the rupee depreciation, and corollary here that see on one side, to manage the exchange rate, you are not targeting any price level, but to manage the exchange rate, there is a liquidity suck out. So on the other hand, you also try to balance the liquidity deficit. So how do you plan to keep doing this balancing act in the times to come? And ma'am, yesterday the cabinet has cleared the new IT law. By when can we actually see a rollout? Because it will take some time for you to go to the parliament and probably go to the standing committee. So assessment year, FY26 financial year, FY27, something of that kind, ma'am. If you can give that. Thank you very much.
See, your first question regarding liquidity, the rupee price depreciation is something which the market forces, as I mentioned, determine. We have a number of instruments at our hands to control and manage liquidity. We will use them. We have the OMO, we have the buy-sell swaps of Forex, we have various other instruments. We have the LAF, we have the VRR, and we are using all of these measures to provide. We have open market operations, the selling and buying of government securities. We'll use all these measures to provide sufficient liquidity. So we need not be worried on that account.
Yes, yesterday the Cabinet has cleared the new income tax proposal. I hope to have it introduced in the Lok Sabha in the coming week. Post that it will go to a committee. And as you know the process is, the committee gives its recommendation, it comes back, and then the government through the Cabinet takes a call whether these amendments are to be taken in or some of them or more need to be added. It's only after that it again goes to the Parliament. So once the Parliament after that passes it is when we'll decide on when best to roll it out from. So although you're asking me a question of when will it roll out, I still have 3 critical stages to pass through.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Next we'll have Surabhi Prasad from Business Today.
Good afternoon. Sir, to the RBI Governor, sir, I wanted to understand what is the assumption on the rupee that you have taken for the new fiscal. And ma'am, also wanted to understand that now we have had a rate cut by the RBI, the budget has done much for consumption. So can we expect a durable recovery of private sector investments? Thank you.
See, we have taken 87 rupees, which was prevalent, at the time the MPC met. She wanted to know about the investment.
Sorry, I was coughing my way.
Yeah. Can you please repeat the question to the Honorable Finance Minister?
Ma'am, I want to understand that the RBI has done a rate cut after a really long time. The budget has done a lot for consumption and demand. Ma'am, can we expect a durable recovery in private sector investments now? Thank you.
Yes, I would expect that because at least since after the budget, the few inputs that I've had from some business leaders and some senior journalists who have been interacting with business is that, and these are anecdotal, I'm not saying I'm relying on them, but these are since after the budget being heard from different sources, and most of it seem to be on the same page, that the orders for fast moving consumer goods for the period April to June are already getting booked. And industry is clearly seeing the signs of a possible recovery of consumption, and as a result, many of them are looking at reviewing their capacity utilization itself, which means you can safely, from these limited anecdotal inputs that you're getting, you can safely see that the triggers for a consumption-driven cycle is very clearly being felt by those who have to take the investment decisions. So I see it a positive sign, and with yesterday's decision of the RBI, I'm sure together things can move in alignment and in the required traction that we need in this course.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Next we'll have Mr. Deepak Mondal from New Indian Express.
Ma'am, in the budget you undertook a major rate rationalization on the import duty side. But there were reports that there could be more given the threat from Trump. And so is the government planning anything else to avoid any rate, tariff action from the US government?
Well, yesterday's announcement, or last week budget announcement on the customs duty rationalization is a work which has been on since the last 2 years. So we had rationalized some even 2 years ago. We also set certain norms saying evergreening is not going to happen on anti-dumping duties, which had plagued a big role in giving some kind of a protection for India's own manufacturing capabilities. But every such expiry date getting closer, we will review it thoroughly, and only in exceptional cases will be extended, but most often they should be concluded so that the protection does not become a perpetual protection. So these kind of things have been happening since last 2 years. So whatever step was announced in terms of BCD and its regulations and rationalizing is not in any knee-jerk fashion for any development globally. So this is an ongoing process. We want to make India a lot more investor-friendly, trade-friendly, and at the same time balance it with Atmanirbhar Bharat, where we need to have production, particularly through the MSMEs. We will provide the tariff protection as required by the industry.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we'll have Srini Chaudhary from NDTV Profit.
Governor sir, good afternoon. Sir, is there any decision taken on Tata Sons NBFC status? It's been pending since last year, and meanwhile Tata Sons applied for surrendering the license. Any view on ahead of the listing deadline?
See, as a practice, we don't respond to questions related to individual companies. So kindly excuse me.
Thank you, sir. राधा रमन मिश्रा पीटीआई हिंदी से.
मैम सबसे पहले आपको बता चुनाव के लिए ये दो क्वेश्चंस हैं, दोनों आप लोगों के लिए. मैम आपने रिफॉर्म्स को आगे बढ़ाने की बात कही है, तो इस कड़ी में नेक्स्ट फाइनेंशियल ईयर में क्या बैंक्स और जो जनरल इंश्योरेंस कंपनीज है उसके मर्जर या प्राइवेटाइजेशन में कुछ हो सकता है? मतलब क्या आप सोच रही हैं? और दूसरा मैम कि बैंक्स, सर आपके लिए भी बैंक्स यूनियन ने स्ट्राइक का किया है, मेजर डिमांड उनका 5 days वीक है. इसके बारे में कुछ आप बोल सकें?
ये पॉलिसी रिफॉर्म का जो घोषणा हुआ है, इस बार 6 सेक्टर्स को हमने हाईलाइट भी किया है, जरूर उसमें आगे बढ़ेंगे.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, we'll have 3 more questions if it is okay with you. Thank you. So we'll have Mr. Alok Priyadarshi from CNBC Awaaz.
नमस्कार सर. नमस्कार मैम. मेरा सवाल ये है कि कंजम्पशन को बूस्ट करने के लिए फिस्कल साइड से काफ़ी सारे प्रयास हुआ, इंक्लूडिंग टैक्स कट. मॉनेटरी साइड से जो कल रेपो रेट में कटौती हुई है, क्या वो कंजम्पशन बूस्ट को डिमांड बूस्ट करने के लिए वो सफिशिएंट है, या आने वाले दिनों में और हम कटौती इस तरह की देखेंगे? और एक एडिशनल सवाल और कि कल अपनी स्पीच में सर आरबीआई गवर्नर सर अपने एडिशनल फैक्टर ऑफ ऑथेंटिकेशन का जिक्र किया है ऑफशोर ट्रांजैक्शन को लेकर. क्या उसमें ऑनलाइन गेमिंग भी शामिल होगी, या इस तरह की जो गतिविधियां हैं वो शामिल होंगी? कुछ मदद मिलेगी इस पर रोक लगाने के लिए?
हाँ, देखिए, जो आपका पहला प्रश्न है कि रेपो रेट कट से सहायता मिलेगी, निश्चित रूप से जो है उससे सहायता मिलनी चाहिए. आगे क्या रहेगा, हमने जो है न्यूट्रल स्टांस रखा है, तो आगे के बारे में जो एमपीसी पुनः मिलेगी, हर 2 महीने में मिलती है, वो मिलेगी, उसके बैठेगी, उसके ऊपर में विचार करेगी और उसके ऊपर में एक नया निर्णय तब की परिस्थितियों को ध्यान में रखते हुए लेगी. तो उसके ऊपर में कुछ बोलना आज के दिन में संभव नहीं है. दूसरा आपका जो ऑथेंटिक, जो सेकंड फैक्टर, एडिशनल फैक्टर ऑफ ऑथेंटिकेशन के बारे में है, तो ये सभी जितने भी ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं, चाहे वो गेमिंग का हो या कोई भी अन्य प्लेटफॉर्म हो, अगर वो जो ऑनलाइन ऑफशोर मर्चेंट है, अगर वो भी इस सेकंड फैक्टर या एडिशनल फैक्टर ऑफ ऑथेंटिकेशन के लिए वो तैयार है, तो उस चीज़ को ही हमने यहाँ पे इनेबल किया है. तो जो अगर गेमिंग कंपनी ने उसको इनेबल किया हुआ है, तो ये सेकंड फैक्टर ऑफ ऑथेंटिकेशन यहाँ पे लागू हो जाएगा.
Thank you, sir. Next we'll have Mr. Vikas Dhoot from Hindu.
Hi. So, ma'am, like you said, there's been a sort of a jugalbandi which has been working well between monetary and fiscal policy. And we've also seen both sides are listening with an open mind to the advice, some of the insights that are coming. For instance, in December's Finance Ministry Economic Review, there was some concern about the demand slump, some of it being linked to the monetary policy framework. And in the RBI Bulletin of January, we saw that RBI advised for a consumption boost to spur growth and private investment. And both of you have responded. RBI has responded with the rate cut. You've done a huge tax stimulus to boost consumption. So taking the spirit forward of listening, can we expect a new Deputy Governor for Monetary Policy before the next review? And for Sir, I just wanted to understand, obviously you have your internal assessments of how inflation and growth is playing out, but in the public eye, the current policy decision is based on December inflation data and November IIP data. That's some of the main parameters that we look at. So is there some case, now that we'll have a new team on top at the RBI, especially for monetary policy, is there a case to be made that policy review calendar is shifted to, say, a middle of the month, so that you have more current data to work with? And even though you have internal assessments of how things might go, in the public eye, it is more justifiable for you with, January inflation data, which would have possibly come down to under 5, and IIP data for December. So just to give you an example, is there a case to review the calendar?
I think, this question is, I think, addressed to me. We gave it a thought, I think. This is the same question, I asked when I joined. Can we, do it more, in the middle of the month rather than, do it little early in the month? Because one gets, more data. But there are reasons because there are other meetings, which happen during the middle of the month, because of which we can't do it in the middle of the month. Some of them are international meetings, some of them are the World Bank, IMF meetings. So because of that, we are unable to shift it, in the middle. So enough thought, I think, has been gone into it, and that's why they have decided that they would be doing these meetings early in the month rather than later in the month. So that's where it stands today.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. And one last question from Mr. Prakash Priyadarshi from ET Now.
Sir, RBI has been very vocal against cryptocurrencies, maintaining that cryptocurrencies pose a huge risk to the financial stability. Will this approach be maintained, or is there any change in RBI's stance?
There is a working group already, which has been constituted by the government with the approval of the Honorable Finance Minister, and it is looking into, all these issues. A discussion paper is planned, and let's wait, for the discussion paper. I think it will not be appropriate for me to give any view over here when there is already a working group which is looking into these, and a discussion paper is going to be published.
Thank you, sir. With this, we come to the close of this press conference. I'll thank Honorable Finance Minister, Minister of State, and the Governor. I wish you all a pleasant day.
Thank you.
My first question to Governor. Sir, in the budget speech, finance ministers announced that FSDC would be looking into some of the financial sector reforms. What could these areas be for the Reserve Bank of India? And ma'am, Delhi election results are almost sort of come out, and BJP seems to be heading for a victory. Your first reaction?
There are a lot of now issues common to the various financial regulators, and FSDC is already constituted for this purpose to coordinate among